We are Bob and Susie, and we travel around in our RV named Buzie with our kitty Rory, and this time in Oregon we were joined by our daughter Jacqueline. Our first stop, Portland's Japanese Gardens. You can find the Zen Gardens within Washington Park. This site was dedicated in 1961, and Professor Takuma Tono was retained to design the garden. His plan included 5 different garden styles laid out on 5.5 acres. Ooh, look at that pretty one.
These things are great.
After walking the gardens, we decided to get a drink at one of Portland's favorite breweries, Breakside Brewery. It was your first morning. We started out at Voodoo Donuts.
I took the Amtrak down from Seattle, and they picked me up, and we went straight to Voodoo Donuts. Was delicious.
Enjoy Voodoo Donuts?
I did enjoy the Voodoo Donuts. They were, I looked long and hard for a plain cake donut, and I was unsuccessful. So I ended up getting one with all kinds of gunk on it. But if you like donuts that are really big with all kinds of stuff and really fancy, go to Voodoo Donuts.
Okay. There was a bit of a line, but it moved quickly, and the staff was amazing and eager to help us pick out our amazing box of donuts. After we did the Voodoo Donuts, we went to the Chinese Gardens.
Beautiful.
His official name means Garden of Awakening Orchids and is considered the most authentic Chinese garden outside of China.
It's a relatively small oasis right there downtown. So an unlikely setting, but a beautiful place.
As a living work of art, the garden contains a balance of the 5 traditional garden elements: rocks, water, plants, architecture, and literary inscriptions.
We stumbled upon the Distillery Row while we were exploring downtown Portland. And of course we had to stop by the whiskey library.
Bob and Jackie did a spirits tasting while I had a cocktail tasting. It was wonderful. My favorite was the one where we had the little dumplings, the little bunny dumplings.
Yes.
And they're well known for their, which I read later, but they're known for their alcohol-free drinks.
Oh.
So, yeah. We drove the Columbian River Gorge. We drove up first to the Crown Point Vista House for a beautiful and incredible view of the gorge. The Vista House was built in 1918 and is perched on a cliff 700 feet above the Columbia River. When we left there, we saw a beautiful barred owl in a tree. I had to stop and take a picture. It was so beautiful. The barred owl, also known as the northern barred owl, striped owl, or more informally, hoot owl, is a North American large species of owl. We went down the gorge and saw lots of waterfalls.
Lots of waterfalls.
Our first stop along the gorge to see a fall was the La Tourelle Falls. We stopped at La Tourelle Farms. Guy and Geraldine Talbot loved the gorge and wanted to preserve its splendor. In 1929, they donated the land surrounding La Tourelle Falls to the state of Oregon. Our second stop was the Shepherd's Dell. It's still possible to find hidden gems in the world, and Shepherd's Dell is one of them. Most people driving by don't realize there's actually a waterfall and pass it by. In 1915, George Shepherd donated 11 acres and a waterfall to the public as a memorial to his wife. We also stopped at Bridal Veil Falls. This two-part, 120-foot waterfall does indeed look like a long, delicate veil worn by a bride. There are two options for viewing this fall, from above or below. We opted for the lower view and took the 0.3-mile downhill trail. It's a steep climb back up. At the bottom, there's a wooden viewing deck, perfect for photos, but it's also possible to scramble over rocks and reach the banks of Bridal Veil Creek. We stopped at Horsetail Falls. The 176-foot falls plunge into a shallow pool surrounded by a rocky shore. I was really excited to see that little waterfall.
It was fun to just drive down that road and see all the waterfalls as they passed by, but, there was also wine.
We ventured beyond the waterfalls into the wine region, and our first stop was Cathedral Ridge Winery, named after Mount Hood's Cathedral Ridge. We stopped here for a tasting and enjoyed the beautiful view. Our next winery was the Stave and Stone Winery. We did a tasting and enjoyed some lunch. We also stopped at Mount Hood Winery. The tasting room is designed in Northwest Lodge style. Warm cork floors, a custom stone fireplace, and an elegant 30-foot bar. On our way home, we stopped at Multnomah Falls, the largest of the falls, or the tallest. Falls drops 610 feet for a spectacular plunge. The falls provide you with an opportunity to climb to Benson Bridge, where you can view the close-up falls from the first tier, or all the way to the peak of the falls to look over the Columbia River Gorge. At the very bottom, the Multnomah Falls Lodge has amenities, an eatery, and a gift shop. The next day we drove through Willamette Valley. The place we went to in Willamette Valley was the Argyle, which was all white. It was all, not just white, but sparkling.
White and sparkling wines.
And that was really delicious. We bought a lot of wines there, I believe. That was really fun. That was kind of our beginning of Willamette Valley.
Yes.
So we started out right. We also stopped at J. Christopher's. At Beacon Hill, husband and wife George Hilberry and Carla Rodriguez were spending an afternoon driving through wine country in November 2010 when they stopped by Beacon Hill. 6 months later, they were official owners. Back in Portland, we had an amazing pizza at McMenamin's. Really cool.
Great bar, great setting, great vibe, and the pizza was awesome.
Whiskey library is really cool. You go up and it is huge, and it's got every whiskey you can imagine. Not everyone, but a lot.
A library of whiskeys, one might say.
One might say that.
A very high ceiling, a long wall filled with whiskeys, and a menu the size of a thick book.
When I want a drink, I think you should just wheel it around and fix me a drink.
I would if you cocktail.
Well, I'm just going to make me a rosé.
Who's going to make you a rosé?
Yes, he's going to open the bottle and pour it in a glass. Bob and I had traveled quite a few weeks before we got to Portland, but it was a blast having Jacqueline join us.
It was fun to stop in.
Thanks for coming with us. We had a lot of fun tooling around with Jack.
We did.
Thanks for having me, and books, wine, whiskey, and
Donuts.
waterfalls. Donuts.
The next morning we went to Elmer's for breakfast before taking Jackie to the airport. Following that, we drove to our Harvest Host Melrose Vineyards. It was a beautiful drive, and once we got to the vineyards, they let us walk around wherever we wanted to. We had a lovely time and enjoyed their food, wine, and especially their three large dogs. There are so many things to see and do around the Portland, Oregon area. I hope you'll give it a try. We'll see you next time from the wonderful state of California.